Hi, everybody. We are trying to do a radio show, or what used to be a radio show live. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones. I am the author of 6 vegan books. Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, my most noted one, Kitchen Delighted, Paleo Vegan, because as an athlete I got really annoyed with the paleo craze, which seemed to be nothing more than Atkins. And then Vegan Fitness for Mortals, because everybody was just going like, so how do you get to be this age, 65, and do all this 100, and as of yesterday, 131 times that I've placed in my age group in a 5K race or something longer since 2006, just on plants. So that's what Vegan Fitness for Mortals is about, because not everybody should be running a marathon or 100 miles at a time like some of the authors who are out there with their stories. Yeah, I almost died in childbirth and almost died of a colon blockage when I was 28, so that's the only thing I really have to claim to fame, other than watching my mom and both sisters get breast cancer, and then they all got heart disease and or diabetes. And so it's just not a fun way to live. As the youngest in my family, I had a lifetime to heed the doctors who said, you better do something different, or you're going to end up like everybody else. And then Vegan for One over here in the corner, and that is my 5th book. And then the last and 6th book, which we self-published because my publisher didn't think it would sell, is Vegan Sex. So what's good for the heart is good for other parts, and my publisher saw how well it did at a couple of veg fests, specifically Seattle, or Portland rather, and Boston, and he said, could we maybe take it over? So they are, and we're off and running on the 6th book, which will be re-edited and re-released in a couple of months. So I had gotten away from doing YouTube videos because Jane Velez Mitchell, big animal rights activist, retired CNN correspondent, using her 401k savings to fund her going around the country and promoting being the voice of the voiceless for animals, had suggested a couple years ago that many of us jump off of YouTube because of censorship issues and other things, and we do Facebook Live. So I've been doing that for a couple of years, and every once in a while I do a YouTube video, and recently got a message saying, you're not doing enough YouTube videos, so you're not going to be a favored partner anymore, or whatever their name is for that. But in the interest of trying to keep things going on different platforms, I'm back. We're going to try and do a weekly vegan Mythbusters show. The main reason for that, and the reason I have a section of time that has cleared up, is because I was doing the Vegan Mythbusters radio show for a Fox radio station out of Lake Havasu, Arizona, that was syndicated and streaming live every week. But the person who really invited me to be a co-host on the show, Dr. Don Wagner, and it was called the Dr. Don Show, had some medical issues unrelated to being vegan. And so he has had to put that on hold. So if you are wondering what happened to him, contact him. I don't want to really talk about his medical condition other than to say I now have at least a couple hours more a week to do this for myself, which I've been wanting to do for a long time, because 18 years in TV news, 2 Emmys, and the National Press Club Award, and a bunch of other awards in broadcasting, I'm really happy to be using this time to good advantage. So we'll see how it goes on YouTube. I'm still continuing the Facebook Lives, and what I did for the Dr. Don Show on the Vegan Mythbusters show was to just read cold copy the vegan stories that were in the news that week, and there have been a bunch of them. So I always attribute my sources, and this is a cool one out of livekindly.co. Lawmakers trying going vegan for a day in support of animal rights. You know, how about a week, a year? I'm just saying, but that's my own editorial, as you should know. So this is in honor of the annual Knesset Animal Rights Day. Israeli lawmakers went vegan for a day, enjoying animal-free foods instead of beef and chicken at the Knesset cafeteria. However, it was more than a day about food. Dishes like meatless lasagna, vegan rice dishes, vegan potato strudel, and eggless dishes, including Yemenite pastry dishes, were among some of the foods served to lawmakers. After the meal, diners were given the opportunity to trace some of their favorite foods back to the source. This led to a virtual reality session where folks got the opportunity to see and hear firsthand what factory farms and farms in general look like, where animals are viewed more as a product than living with autonomy. The Animal Rights Day was sponsored by a cross-party group led by politicians whose names I won't mention, a bunch of them, and they were hopeful and enthusiastic. Every year they say, we prove it is possible to eat food that is inexpensive, tasty, healthy, nourishing, and colorful, and this year also nostalgic and traditional, all involving zero suffering and abuse. Veganism has certainly had an impact on Israel, to say the least. The Times of Israel writes, according to the activist group Vegan Friendly, there are 300,000 vegans in Israel. At nearly 4% of the country, activists say Israel has the highest per capita vegan population in the world, and the trend appears to be accelerating. And I've been getting, well, first of all, I've been hearing this about Israel for a long time. This article goes on to say they are the most vegan-friendly country in the world and known as a haven, starting with Domino's choosing Israel to be its first city where they would give a vegan cheese option all the way back in 2013. I was at Earth Fair, which fortunately just opened a mile from my house here in the Sarasota, Florida area. And this was just a couple of weeks ago, and I went there this morning just to pick up something. There was really nobody. Well, I won't say there was no. They actually have a lot of people in the store, but nobody by comparison to the other times where the parking lot is like completely full. So I had a little chance to look around and see things that I hadn't seen in my previous visits. And they have a section called Plant-Based Foods, and it's if you compare the dairy milk, the cow's milk section to the plant-based milks, it's like not as big. And I'm telling you, this trend is happening faster than we would have even expected, I think, some of us. So this is cool that Israel has been leading the way. And people who, especially religions, people of faith, who are known for their passion and compassion, how does it not extend to animals, especially with all the videos that are being taken now with smartphones, and we can see and hear the cows wailing when they're separated from their moms. Not your mom, not your milk is one of the more famous shirts out there goes. People are really getting this message and finding that they don't need to be drinking milk from another species. Cow's milk is only 7,500 years old, give or take. Somebody on a desert back then was probably thirsty and just looked at a cow and thought, oh, I wonder what that species milk would be tasting like. So it's interesting to see how we have evolved. And certainly a lot of people have lactose intolerance or lactose sensitivity because we really weren't designed to be drinking milk from another species. So check that out. I always give attributions on my news stories for vegan news you can use here, just so you can check out the stories. Fourth largest U.S. city hosts the Vegan Awards ceremony, the fourth largest city in the U.S. And by the way, I'm reading these stories cold copy, as we used to say in TV news. So if I stumble here and there, it's just part of what goes on. Houston, Texas has kicked off its first ever Houston Vegan Awards. The event was created by the Vegan Society of Peace, which was meant as a way to celebrate all of the city's local vegans. A paper writes, we were invited to vote for their favorite in 7 survey ballot categories. A sizable list of local business owners and professionals were nominated and given recognition for making our city more vegan friendly this year. They added, out of those acknowledged, 14 of the nominees just couldn't be beat, B-E-E-T. By the way, I've been using Beats before I run, and it's like I have all this additional aerobic capacity, which is the study I talked about in Vegan Fitness for Mortals, a study of cyclists, 17 of them compared to a control group. And not only did they perform better, but they also felt it was easier. So how cool is that? And it does seem to work. I used it also before the half marathon last week, and that was great. I felt like the first 6 miles didn't even need to dip into my goo or anything to help me maintain my energy. All right, so let's see. I'm going to another news story. I think we've heard all we want to hear out of Veg News. VegNews.com, meal delivery service launches vegan shrimp jambalaya. I actually have a recipe for that. Vegan prawns in my book. Kitchen Divided, because like it's based off of a recipe. I veganized it from Red Lobster, because my partner at the time, who was not vegan, liked Red Lobster, so I tried to veganize some recipes in hopes of enticing him to become vegan. He did not, by the way, not at all, not even close, and then ended up having a heart attack. It was very sad. and I just won't go there too much other than to say it didn't end well. All right, so vegan meal delivery service launches this vegan shrimp jambalaya, and this is with technology started up by New Wave Foods. Vegan meal delivery service Vistro added new shrimp jambalaya to its menu this week. The new option features brown rice in a spiced tomato sauce with vegan chicken, plant-based pepperoni, and shrimp from Silicon Valley-based food technology startup New Wave Foods. New Wave soy-based shrimp, which is served in place of the crustacean at Google's headquarters cafeteria, mimics the taste of the animal counterparts and is made with red algae, the main dietary component of shrimp. The new dish is part of Vistro's selection of a la carte entrees, which also includes a variety of pizzas, casseroles, soups, salads, burgers, and stews. The delivery service, which ships to all 50 states, also offers breakfast dishes, desserts, meal packs, and weight loss plans and juice cleanses. So, if you eat a well-balanced, healthy vegan / plant-based diet, whatever you want to call it, I like to call it vegan because plant-based can mean meat too. In addition, just means we meant to be based in plants, but we're not 100% vegan. Usually means 100%. But whatever you call it, however you get there, it's all good. There were more mock shrimps before Vistro came along and New Wave Foods. But however, whatever your addiction is, some people can't give up cheese, they can't give up dairy, they can't give up seafood, but everything pretty much now has been veganized. So just explore that for yourself, and this is just one more story. Thanks, Veg News, for putting that out there. All right, other stories and news you can use from the Vegan Mythbuster. That would be me, because all my books bust vegan myths, and we're continuing to do that. Sea Shepherd opens a vegan tattoo shop in Amsterdam. So Sea Shepherd, if you don't know the organization, it's a vegan marine conservation group, and it costs a lot of money for them to maintain ships, but they try to stop dolphin fishing, exploitation. They try and stop just all kinds of bad practices on our oceans. So they're just trying to, I guess, look for another way to make some money to try and support the very expensive work of the ships. I know they've had ships donated to them, but if you can't keep them afloat with the expense it takes to do that, then those ships, of course, aren't really a whole lot of good. So then another story, vegan actor Joaquin Phoenix to star as the Joker in a new Warner Brothers movie. Now, generally I don't care so much about entertainment news, but if they're vegan, we're going to give you a little free press here. So happy to do that. And again, just trying to give you the vegan news you can use. This one is Walmart, a link about vegan cookbook recipes for yoga lovers. Tying all those dots together, because a lot of folks who do yoga, instruct yoga, say we're all about world peace, and they'll go out and eat meat. So trying to connect those dots to compassion is really important. Wildcat.arizona.edu, what are you writing about? Okay, let's get rid of the pop-up. Vegan is the best way to live. This is an opinion piece. This summer I really tried to focus on health. I cut out red meat as well as dairy, mostly just milk because cheese is life, but that wasn't enough for me. In July, Netflix came out with a film called What the Health. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. If you haven't heard of it or already watched it, the article says, I urge you to do so. It explores the health benefits of cutting out animal products like meat and dairy from the diet. If you don't see yourself sitting down to watch a 2-hour documentary about how dairy and meat will basically kill you, visit the film's website for a breakdown of the stats discussed in the movie. I would say the biggest takeaway is that many of the diseases discussed in the film, although somewhat generic, could be reduced or reversed by adhering to a plant-based diet. Now, one of the reasons I use the word vegan over plant-based, as I mentioned, is that plant-based can include meat. If you Google plant-based diet, you get all kinds of diets out there. Being a former TV reporter, I'm about using the word that is concise and describes what it is. On the other hand, many people will say things like, I just don't have the indication, the time, the inclination to be vegan. So plant-based, as we were instructed when we were trained cooking instructors for the Cancer Project like 10, 12 years ago, we were told to incorporate the word plant-based so that more people would be brought into the fold. Okay, so that is this story about vegan being the best way to live. That is in the wildarizona.edu settings, or story rather. I'm multitasking here. And there are many stories in the vegan universe, and I will bring them to you every week, best I can, to get you up to speed in vegan news you can use in the Vegan Mythbusters show. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones. If you have a topic or a question for me, you can find me at vegcoach.com. I will tell you from the get-go here that I don't have the time or talents to do fancy editing, so this is just going to be a straight-on camera kind of thing. And I will guarantee you at the end of 15 or 20 minutes, we will have you up to speed on the top vegan stories in the news this week. So y'all have a great week, and until next time, gotta run. If I can figure out how to turn this off. Okay, I might just have to like click the off button. There's absolutely nothing on here. Okay, share. Yeah, I'd like to share, but I'd really like to just end this. Okay, really, this is quite interesting. Okay, we're just gonna end this. Bye, y'all.